Welcome to Big Blend Radio with travel writer Linda Kissam, the food, wine, and shopping diva. Welcome, everybody. Diva Linda is on our show every first Saturday. And I think we're going to have to start renaming the show, Linda Kissam. I think we need to call it All in Good Taste. I kind of feel like we need to do that in a way. I think that. I was thinking that the other day on our drive over to Arizona, thinking of you while you're nice and cool in Seattle.
Yes.
And I was thinking about this because you find the best tea, you find the best wine, you find the best destinations. And I know you love art. You know, we're big into art. And I know the Dorland Arts Community, and well, it's a artist residency program. It's a colony, it's a community. I've heard about Dorland pretty much from you, and I think the Montgomerys, Linda Milks. I think since we've known you, I've heard about the Dorland Arts Community, and I'm excited about today's show because we have Noreen Ring joining us, and she's on the board. But Linda, you've stayed there, right?
I did. I was lucky enough to stay there at least twice, maybe more. And for me, it was a memorable experience, something that sort of, if you let it speak to your soul, if you let the vibes sort of surround you and understand what they have to give you there, it's the best experience ever. And I would encourage all of my writers, travel and otherwise, book writers, piano people, music people. This is a really, I hope you still have the cottage that has the big piano in it. That was quite wonderful. Yes, so that was quite wonderful, and it's just very peaceful. The setting is gorgeous, and if you get a little too much peace and quiet, you can just run down the hill and go to the Temecula Valley wineries, the casinos, the olive farms, downtown Temecula. There's all within 30 minutes, probably less. So it is just a really great experience, and you can do all those things that you can't do at home. You can think about what you want to write in your article. You can edit your articles or your music or whatever it is you're doing. I imagine you could even just go there and just sort of slump out for 4 days or so. You know, if you just need to rejuvenate, go for a walk, do whatever you need. But it's a very, very, very special place, easy to get to. But it doesn't seem like it when you're up there. Beautiful views. Everything's perfect. It's wonderful.
It's a beautiful region. This is all in Temecula Valley in Southern California. And so it's near San Diego, near Palm Springs, LA, Orange County. Go to dorlandartscolony.com. Linda's also got an article about her experiences, and that is on blendradioandtv.com. But all the links we always talk about are in the episode notes, so check that out. But first, let's welcome Noreen Ring on the show. She's on the board of directors at Dorland Mountain Arts, and that's the correct term because I just call it a community and a colony and an artist residency. But this is really quite an amazing program. So welcome, Noreen. How are you?
Thank you. Doing well.
Good to have you on the show.
Thank you. I was just a little concerned about the fire that's happening right across the street from Dorland right now.
Always a thing in the summer.
The Pauba fire, I think it's burned something like 80 acres. And it's about 50% contained now. So
that's a good
breathing a sigh of relief.
That's fantastic. But because I know that the colony actually experienced that Eagle Mountain fire. I remember that fire very well. Yeah, I remember that well.
Everything burned down. Everything.
And you had to start again. So that's kind of an interesting for artists, right? To go through that. There's like creativity and destruction kind of go hand in hand in art, right? So is that kind of an interesting thing for Dorland and the artist? I mean, it's devastating to go through a fire, and we've been through many. We used to live in Julian in San Diego, up in the mountains, and evacuated 7 times in a year and a half, serious evacuations. And so we understand, and we had a lot of friends in that fire. And I think you're going to know a lot of them in the art community out in Fallbrook, Temecula area, which Fallbrook is quite an arts destination, you know? And so that kind of history, but this colony was going before that fire. So we'll touch on the fire part, but go back to the very beginning so people understand why this, colony was started.
Well, there's about 340 acres, something like that, on right off the 79. It's about 3 miles east of Butterfield Road. You can see
Yep.
the entrance. There's a big sign that says Dorland. But in 1930s, around then, Ellen Dorland and her husband Robert, they homesteaded the property. And Ellen was a pianist, a very well-known, accomplished pianist and music teacher. And they would invite their friends from the East to come, artist friends to stay. And the dream was to have a place for artists to come and do what they wanted. And I wrote down something that I really loved about the purpose of what she was doing, and that was to deepen the quality of the creative process, enabling its residents to explore their creative resources without distractions. And that was her entire idea. And then in around a little bit later, Barbara Horton joined her friend Ellen, and the two of them wanted to create this ambiance for artists to come and do what they want to do unobstructed. And in the property was actually part of the National Conservancy. And in 1979, when Dorland became incorporated as a nonprofit entity, the property was ceded. I don't know if it was ceded or deeded to Dorland Preserve, is what it's called. And one of the provisos was that we maintain the property, and we have to be sure that there's no invasive plants coming onto the property.
Mm.
What's also interesting is that we have to maintain a corridor for mountain lions on the property. I think that's really cool.
That's
and
awesome.
We do that. Anyways, that was around 1979, 1980, when the property was then deeded, and we were allowed to use, of the 300 acres, 10 acres for the residency program. And during, as the years progressed, they had 8 small yurts, I don't know what you call them, little cottages, a community kitchen, a community art center, 2 working art studios. And then in 2004, it all burnt down. And we started having to think about recreating it. And the board at that time decided that they wanted to be responsible in their rebuilding and make sure that everything was sustainable. And the first things we did, besides using all of our insurance money to build a road up to the property, up to the 10 acres, was to put in 2 cottages, and that's Horton and Markham. And what's interesting about those cottages is they were designed off the architecture of the Katrina hurricane housing that was built. Oh. So the architecture is that, although they did have to make some adjustments for earthquake. So the beams are a little closer. There are only 2 stick cottages that we have, stick-built cottages. Okay. And then later, when we have Friends of Dorland, we had some grants that we went after, and we started building the infrastructure around 2016 for the rest of the colony. 2 more manufactured homes were put on the property, and a lot more infrastructure, a lot more permitting, all that goes on. And it was pretty hellish for a long time. And
Mhm.
finally, we had 2 more cottages. One is used for the caretaker on the property. The other 5 are rented. We don't, they're rented and out. And one of the cottages was donated, the monies was donated by the Rorapa family, Foundation. And the Roripas have been extremely helpful in their grants and in generosity towards Dorland. They had some foot in the door, you might say, where they were part of the Vale. They worked on the Vale property, and so they have that kind of interest in Dorland.
I
And
wanted to
then
quickly go back to where you said the cottages are rented out. That they're available for rent, right? So they're not like closed off to the public. If someone wants to
no,
rent
they're
them, they can.
available through our
Okay.
residency program.
Cool.
Yeah, for artists to come from all over the world.
Take us through how one applies for and what you're looking for and how much it would cost. So let's say that I'm your person and I'm a travel writer. And so what I want to do is I want to come in and I want a few days to write, to invite some friends up for a private wine tasting, that sort of thing. What is my first step to be part of your residency program?
So the first thing you do is you go online, because registering for the residency program is all hands-on by the artist. So you just go through that process online. We require letters of recommendation. We require your CV. We want to know what it is that you're planning on accomplishing. If it's absolutely nothing, that might be fine too. You may just want to relax and regenerate. But we like to know that you're here for a purpose.
So
And
this would be open to brand new creatives as well as experienced creatives.
absolutely, we're very, very much into emerging artists. We're really looking for that. We want to encourage it, and diversity. So we're very much open to that. So once you get through the process, it takes about you also can look at all of the availability per cottage, and you can actually plug it in yourself. These are the dates that I want. Yeah, we have a new website now that's totally integrated like that. It takes us about 1 to 2 weeks to get back to you with an approval. And so that's basically the process. We want to think that you're not coming just because it's a inexpensive, you might say, place to hang out. It's not that. We want you to be present and prepared to enrich yourself in some way, I guess.
What will pricing be? So if I wanted to go to Markham, let's say, so maybe a 1-bedroom, if I remember correctly, 1-bedroom, and it had a kitchen and it had like a mini living room. That's the creative space. And I wanted to come for maybe a week. What would approximately, I know you probably can't tell me exactly, but so people know.
I wish I could answer that. I don't think I can, because it is online. It'll tell you, but it's based on the cottage that you're renting. I believe it's also based on the season.
Oh, okay.
So there's some variables that go into that you might look at. And if you go to the webpage right now under residency, it basically will tell you how much it is.
Are we talking in the hundreds or the 200s?
Yes, a couple of 300s for a week. It's
Oh,
not.
that's nice. Yeah.
That's very good.
I want,
It's
and everyone, again, the website is dorlandartscolony.com.
right.
Okay,
So,
check that.
yeah, I wasn't prepared to answer as
You
far
know
as
what?
prices.
Yeah, it
because-
fluctuates. It fluctuates too. And so, someone could be listening to this 3 years from now and it changes, or so it's good to go on the website. But that ballpark, what Linda was asking, you answered, and I think
Perfectly,
it's
perfectly.
economically and feasible for folks. And sometimes
Absolutely.
a community, we do interviews with artists and residents every month. And sometimes they have a community that will get behind them and help them with the funding, especially in emerging artists. I interview a lot of veterans returning home, military veterans who are artists, and it's something amazing. And something also that I've realized is that women have not had the opportunities as much to be an artist in residence as men have over the years, because women are, childbearing, entities. And a lot of times the guys get to go off, and residencies have usually been built up for them. So,
Well,
yeah, do you get women that come out?
that's not the case at Dorland. I would say that 85% of our residents are women.
That's wonderful to hear.
We have a foundation, we call it the Barbara Foundation. There's some history to that. Curtis Horton, who is the son of Barbara Horton, he's the president of Dorland, of the board, and he has encouraged many artists through this Barbara Foundation, where we take donations, and once we have enough, we ask universities and other influential artists to propose emerging artists to us, and we offer the property to them for free for about a week once they go through that process. So
That's amazing.
So we do that. And we have a lot of other programs at Dorland besides our residency program, encouraging artists throughout the region to participate. We have a community arts center, and we have an associate artist program. We currently have about 45 members, visual artists, musicians, writers, poets, and we have shows every 6 weeks. We have magnificent shows. I just put one up Thursday. It's just huge. It's beautiful in the community center. And we also have our Sunday Scribblers, which is every second Sunday. And we encourage writers to participate in that. And they share either through Zoom, because some of them are not in California, or on premises, to write and to share with their writing and their ideas. And we also have a program called Table Manners, where where artists or people will come and read from plays.
Oh, cool.
Either
That's
plays,
awesome.
I know, it's wonderful. Either plays that they've written or plays that are in existence, and they just sit around a table and read scripts.
Oh, that's fun.
And then every second Wednesday, we have a coffee on the deck event, where we get 20 to 30 people from 10 o'clock to noon that come, and we all share our art or our reading or our poetry or music. And then afterwards, we always have a little mini workshop. And then we have the receptions. What other Fridays, every Friday evening, all the residents are invited. They don't have to attend, but they're invited to come into the community room for sharing and talk about what they're doing. So the rest of the time, we leave everybody alone.
So this is really, like when I mentioned this at the beginning, was community. It's a colony, it's a community. Because there's been many historically these colonies across this country and around the world, where places have become a haven for artists and writers and musicians, where they just need to get away from normal life to do whatever's on their head. It could just be, I've had this, sentence on a piece of paper that I've been carrying around, and I need to finish the song or the book or the story, whatever it is. And sometimes, daily life, a lot of artists have to do a regular job. And so do you have Wi-Fi? This was a big question for me.
Yes.
Do you have internet for those who kind of may have to do a little work on the side and they can say, I've done my Zoom meeting, now I can go paint?
Yeah, tragically, we do have all that.
I know, it's the way of the world. Yeah.
When the onset, there was nothing. There was no electricity. I mean,
Wow.
they were really naturalists, and people that came expected that. But we have to stick with the times,
Mhm. But it's important too, I think, because writers are using writing programs, musicians are using musician programs online,
Yeah.
I don't know if photographers want to still use Adobe since they're using their photography for AI, but and has that been a conversation, AI, in the Dorland community about AI versus true artists, or the emergence of AI art?
We have had that conversation with during one of our coffee on the decks. I shared that I went to New York and saw the AI exhibit at the MoMA.
Oh,
And
cool.
I don't know if you know about this, but MoMA, one of the people there programmed an AI machine with every single visual of art that they have in their entire library or have had. And then they let the AI go. They said, okay, now you create the art. And the exhibit is the art that the AI has generated. And it's visual, it's a huge screen, and it's constant movement. So every time, if you took a photograph, that would be an original, brand new piece of art. The thing about it is that it's stunning. It is visually, it just takes your breath away what this computer has come up with. So it's just little pixels of art. Are you open to that or not?
Because it's still coming from a creator at the beginning. It isn't
It
creating
does.
it on its own.
That's right. And it's just sort of stirring it up in a soup and spitting out this beautiful, it's sort of reminiscent of the lava lamps. You remember how mesmerizing that was, and you just stand there and it just constant movement, constant change, color, just the imagery is it's amazing. And if you get a chance, I think it's a once in a lifetime chance to see this.
Wow.
So
I think you need a lava lamp in all the cottages now.
So in writing,
I would like to go into something a little bit different. I have a great interest in nonprofits and how they work, and I've done lots and lots of nonprofit work. Can you tell us a little bit about your board of directors, how many there are, and sort of how you work each year? So many boards pick a project or a couple of projects per year, according to who is on the board and sort of what they feel that their nonprofit needs, and then works on that for a year and hopefully finishes it. And then the next year, something new. Can you sort of tell us about your board, how many there are, that sort of thing, and then sort of what your vision has been for 2024, and if you've already talked about 2025?
For quite a while, we were inundated with the rebuilding.
Yes.
That was the goal. the goal was to gather funds to get the infrastructure done. I cannot even begin to tell you how labor intensive that was.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just now, I think, at a point of sitting back and just sort of amazed at what's happened.
That you're here. You're still here.
We're still here. We have 5 members on the board right now. Our goal is to increase that to about 13. It's difficult to get people to commit to be on a board of directors because it's a huge commitment. So that's where we stand right now. We meet every 6 weeks or so to discuss basically the property, what it is coming up in the future. Do we need to raise funds for repairing the roads? Do we need to redo the community center? It's right now, it's not a huge project-oriented thing. We're just going to lay back for a little while before we get back into it. And everything is moving along. There's no point for Dorland to grow. We want to stay, you might say, natural with what is happening. We physically can't have any more grandiose projects. It's just, and the infrastructure isn't there for very much more. So we just are trying to maintain, we're trying to look for perfection. We're working on our trails, which are really starting to become much more popular. We have 3 wonderful trails right now that people can enjoy. We have, and we're working on a 4th. So that's been a project. And of course, we're always looking for grants for administration, which is very hard to find. The Rorapa Foundation has just been so wonderful for us in their encouragement and in their putting their money where their mouth is, basically, which is really wonderful. So yeah, we're looking for grants. We're looking for maintaining the property in its pristine condition. And we're looking to find artists and help them along in any way we can.
I love that. And
So,
I want to go back to the fires because I know when we talk about fires and wildfires, and we talked about that at the very beginning of the show, I want to get people to understand that, there's wildfires everywhere throughout California, Oregon, the West, right? And even the Midwest. We drove through one yesterday, actually. And so I want people to understand that to not apply because of wildfires. It's like I think artists are a little bit more resilient than that, but I just want to touch on that. And then if you can give us an idea of what the landscaping looks like now, so that people understand that it's still it's reviving, right? So that was what I was going with. There's destruction and creativity, and they hold hand in hand. They really do. So you're at this revival, rebirth moment, it feels like.
it is. We have a licensed arborist. He comes regularly and checks the trees and makes sure that they are safe. The fire department has given us permits for everything. We went through all that process. We have a road. It's I'm going to say a quarter of a mile heading up the mountain, and as you enter, it's wooded, lots of oak trees, lots of grass not grasses, leaves on the ground. the cottages each
You gotta
have
have oaks, right? Beautiful oak
gotta have
trees out
oaks.
there. Yeah.
The cottages each have, as you can see by the photo on the back behind you, that's Markham Cottage, and that we have placed the cottages so that they're situated with beautiful landscaping. And I mean, if you're a photographer, the sunsets are just magnificent. It's really lovely. It's safe.
Mm.
So
Yeah. And you're in wine country. I
wine
mean,
country,
who doesn't want that? And avocados. I mean,
right?
guacamole and wine. Diva Linda, right? All in good taste. Yeah, I wanted to touch on that because I think it's also fascinating when, grasslands come back and trees, when nature goes through her revival, there's resiliency, and sometimes you get new plants. So I'm wondering if this is of interest to those of the scientific artist community, of the writers and the actual illustrators and folks to come out.
Well, sure. We have a lot of nature. We have, aside from the flora and the fauna, we have coyotes, we have deer, we have rattlesnakes. So it's okay. We
Yep.
have well,
Oh, you
of
gotta
course,
have all
rabbits. We have it
hawks.
all,
Yeah.
and we try and make sure that there's no invasive planting or plants coming into the property. And we have a groundskeeper that is ever present and working constantly on keeping fire abatement issues taken care of, you know, weeding, that sort of thing. We have lots of bees. In fact, we have some honeybee factory going on right below Markham there. There's some people that just gather the honey and bottle them.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot going on at Dorland. It's quiet, but there's a lot of happening.
Can someone just come up unannounced and want to just sort of experience the property for an hour or two, or do they need to talk to somebody? Or I know that there's, at least when I was there, there was no gate that you had to go through. You just could go up. So if somebody was interested, perhaps somebody watching this is on vacation in Temecula, can they come unannounced, or would you prefer that they talk to you?
People don't just suddenly decide to come up. They usually will check our website. I mean,
okay.
And so the majority of people that do that would note that we do have certain hours that we maintain. 10 to 4 is optimal. We won't hold any. There are people that have been walking the trails for years that come regularly. You know, we're assuming that if you're using the trails, you're there for good reasons. So it's okay to do that, but it's best to check in at the office when you're there to let them know, just for your own safety, that you know, you're going to be walking around and it's hot and you have to bring water and you have to wear long pants and you have to be prepared. And so it's nature. At the top of Dorland Mountain, there's a pools and little tidal pools and things. And there's there's always water up there. And anyways, what you're asking is, can anyone just come in? I guess the answer to that is yes. But we would hope
have that courtesy.
They would have personal care enough to make sure that we know that someone's on the property in case there's an emergency. So
that's a good point.
a
Yeah.
But that's
beautiful.
awesome about the nature, cultural history too, with the Native American history of that area. You
The
know,
property does abut the Pechanga Indian Reservation
hmm.
and another preserve. Um, it's I wrote it
The
down, the name of the
San
preserve.
Margarita, the San
No, it's
Margarita,
not.
no.
I'll find it. But anyways, it abuts Pechanga and the preserves. And we have no particular relationship with the Pechanga people because the property is huge.
Yeah,
And so we don't really need to have any
yeah.
interaction.
That sounds awesome. I want to come. I wanna come hang
You
out.
should.
You and
You should
Nancy
come.
should go there. Oh my gosh, that's such a good idea.
It would
Oh,
be
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, when we come back west, like further than Tucson, and go up the Pacific, and we'll go up the whole area again. That would be awesome. And I think, going to the cultural history, one of the things I would want to do if I was to apply is that and we are both, my mom and I, Nancy and I, are huge on historic routes and trails. And you are off of the Juan Bautista de Anza National Historic Trail, which is something very close and dear to my heart. In fact, I'm right off of it, right here where I am. And I've lived on it. And I've gone to as many parks and places as I possibly can on this trail, and I'm not done yet. But that's how we got San Francisco. Juan Bautista de Anza, he was conquistador, took after his dad, and with Father Font, walked with 200 people from Mexico, Sonora, Mexico, through Tucson, across the Yuma Crossing. You've done that, Linda, and the Colorado River, in Yuma, and cross over and walked all the way through Temecula. And they established the Presidio in San Francisco. Only one
Wow.
death. There were women and men and children, only one death, and it was at the beginning, and it's at San Xavier del Bac, which is a mission in Tucson area, south of Tucson, the greatest example of Spanish architecture in this country. And it was a woman in childbirth, and she died during childbirth. And in those days, we're talking about 1776. It was actually pre the American, Revolution. And so to me, I have what I call the Bible of the De Anza Trail, which is the great great grandson or great grandson. Don't get mad at me, I've got it right, but he created the route. He documented the trail, and then also got recordings from the different tribes, including Mexican people on the trail, music, and that speaks to each part of it. And Temecula is a huge part of this, so I would want to go just to be able to find the actual footsteps and document that and do just to be there, because a lot of their music comes from the natural surroundings of the land. Songs from the woodpecker, which is like the first Native American flute, is always a woodpecker flute. It's the beginning of you go up from the different flutes. So anyway, that's my proposal.
Wow. I love it. Sign up.
Okay.
I think you would probably love staying at Dorland.
I
We don't
know.
we
Such a
don't really
beautiful
get
area.
we don't get too involved in your stay, so you're free to do what you want. And
That's cool.
there's, like you said, there's wineries. There's, if you need something at the grocery store, it's right there. We're 50 miles north of San Diego Airport, at Los Angeles Airport. It's a few hours drive depending on traffic.
Ontario Airport.
Ontario. Yeah. So it's easy access
Diva
from
Linda, you might have to go on your way back home to Arizona, and when you leave Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, I'm just really I'm missing it. That's why it popped into my head. I haven't been there in a while, and I could use a rest. I could use a rest and some inspiration. So maybe not maybe, I will apply, and it'll be quite wonderful. I mean, it's just
we have a labyrinth that you can take time walking around.
love
Yeah.
that. Oh my gosh, I would love to do a show there also and interview some of the artists that either have been there or are there, and can spend some time, or maybe go to your coffee chat or whatever. That would be, I think, a
One of the
great show.
events. Yeah.
One of the things I would highly recommend just to get a sense of the quality of the artists that do come and stay at Dorland, is to go to the website and look at the residence section, and you'll see. I used to have to enter their brief bios onto the website. I did that for a little while, and I would read them and go, they're staying here, that sort of thing. By the way, we also have a library filled, and a well taken care of library by a volunteer, and it's filled with all of the books that have ever been written about Dorland, or with artists that were at Dorland that wrote books and published them. The lady that wrote The Lonely Bones, is that? Yeah, she's stayed there several times. We have had some pretty incredible artists staying with us and some from other countries.
I bet Helen Hunt Jackson wishes she was alive when you guys started up. I mean, she was in Ramona. She went to San Juan Bautista, and she swore at some kid, and then she got kicked out of her quarters. What is now San Juan Bautista State Park. She was she wanted to stay and do a residency, and this is while she was writing Ramona, and she was staying in an Irish lady's cottage, and the kids were making a noise, and she told the kids how to keep quiet. And that didn't do well with the Irish lady. And the Irish lady raised her a few and told her how to keep quiet and how to get out. So she did. And so she ended up in Ramona. So I was just like, she could have done a detour, and come and stay. I think it would have been
maybe she did.
Who knows? And you're off the Butterfield stage route, the stage route too. And that's another historic, yeah. I love the history part of it and how it connects with nature, and how those people, Black Bart, went through your area. He was a robber, pirate kind of dude. He was a stagecoach robber. So he was like a pirate of the stagecoaches that he went riding through. And you got Civil War history not far. Anyway, sorry, I like your area. Just a little bit.
It's beautiful.
Just a little bit.
We like the idea that everything is staying on the west side of Butterfield Road. There has been very little creep, you might say, of homes and things heading towards Dorland.
Yeah, so you're actually maintaining land, which is something we're also so interested in, is how nonprofits and even public entities have gone to, we're protecting this land. There's urban sprawl happening across the country and around the world. So, that's something, another reason to support you, and what you're doing is not only being a haven for the artists, because it's so the world is not easy on the arts, and those who are the creators.
It's a huge it's a huge responsibility that we've taken on, that has been bestowed on us, and we take it quite seriously. So,
well, thank you so
something
much.
Yeah, you've created something so beautiful. It was so nice of you to spend your time here and tell us all about it. Really, that's so sweet of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm thrilled because I've always been curious, because you and Linda and Todd and Sue and everybody, you were always like Dorland, and I'm like, what is going on? I think Robert and Doran Simpson went too. I don't know. I just remember, and I'm like, Linda, finally.
Finally, yeah.
No, but I think it's perfect timing after the fires and everything. I think this was a perfect time to have you on the show. So thank you so much. And a big shout out to your board and everybody that works together to make this happen, and to your donors. And thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio with travel writer Linda Kissam. Keep up with Linda at allingoodtaste.info. You can read her articles in Big Blend magazines, and keep up with us at bigblendradio.com.